the floor of two radical terms. In other words, it's the floor of the cube root of x plus the floor of the square root of x equals to 19. Now, just for computational ease, I've put together a couple of lemmas here. The floor of the square root of x is equal to a positive integer. You know, since the domain of the square root function is positive numbers, I kept it to positive integers here, z greater than or equal to 0, or non-negative integers, I should say. But you can take a look at why this has to be true, and it's something most of I think everybody could do in their head if they wanted to. I just wanted to write it down. Notice that the floor of root x equals to 2 would only happen on the interval 4 to 9. All right, and that's because the square root of 4 is 2, so it would be included. But you can go all the way up to 9 and still have 2 as a floor. You know, like the square root of 8, for example, will still have a floor of 2. You just have to work your way up to the next perfect square and exclude it. And something similar for the cube root function. You're working with perfect cubes rather than perfect squares. You know, these are perfect squares, these are perfect cubes. And so the cube root of 8, the floor of that, the cube root of 8 is 2, so the floor is going to map to that natural number. But also all the way up, you know, you could think of 25. The cube root of 25 is still going to be less than 3, right, as far as its floor goes. And so anyway, these two things are kind of useful aids as far as doing the computations. Now notice we want this sum to be 19. And so I made a list here of all the perfect squares. Like the square root of 100 is 10. And so its floor is going to be 10 also, right? And the cubed function's already at 343, it's 7. So you would get 10 plus 7 right here, which would be shy of 19, right? If you just tried, say, well, I'm just trying this to get a feel for what kind of numbers we need. All right. And so we're going to need to go past 100, and we're going to have, you know, we're just going to have, it's going to be the square root function that takes up most of the slack here, if that makes any sense. Now let's go on to the solution of the problem here. Now, okay, what I did here is I'm just kind of spitballing it. I'm not really, notice I tried to go with something that added up to 19. 12 and 7 add up to this 19, you see. This 12 and this 7 add up to 19, but they produce intervals that don't overlap. I just left this, whatever 8 cubed is, I just left it that way. But see how these two intervals they're disjoint. This interval right here has nothing in common with this interval. So even though the 7 and the 12 add up to 19, we have to reject this solution. So you see, there's nothing fantastic about this method. You're just trying things that you think might be close and seeing if it works. Now again, right here, the 6 and the 13 add up to 19 like we want, right? Add up to 19 like we want. But again, we're getting a little closer here though. You see, we get these two. You can see 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196 is why this works. All right. But again, there's no overlap here. It's closer than before, but you see this, there's no way. This interval right here is completely to the left of this interval. 196 is less than 216. So you can just see that again, a void or a disjoint or a null set intersection. Now we get lucky right here. But notice the pattern here. I'm making sure the floors add up to 19. All right. And sure enough, this one works out. For cube root, you'll notice that 125 is 5 cubed, 216 is 6 cubed, right? And they happen to overlap. These two sets happen to overlap, and they overlap precisely on this interval. So this is the solution to the problem, folks. And again, I'm not advertising. This is just kind of a brute force method. You know, and I don't even know for a fact if this is a unique solution. I think it probably is, but it is a solution. I'm not gonna stick my neck out too far, but I'm thinking it is unique. But again, this is the final solution. It's the closed interval 196, open interval 216, and you can check the numbers. Like if you were to pick 200, for example, you know, you would get that it was equal to 7 plus 12 right here. 7 plus 12. Any number in this interval will satisfy, any natural number in this interval will satisfy this equation. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed.